We're here in the Sany 8200. This is a 200-ton crane with a max pick of 235 ton. The computer systems in this crane are a little more elaborate than other cranes. Technology is newer. There's a lot of bells and whistles on this crane. You're looking at the computer system right now. I'm going to pan to my right and you'll see a monitor right there in front of you. I'm pointing at it. And then another monitor. Each monitor has 4 banks of cameras. Right now that would be 8 total. We're just running 4 cameras right here. I'm going to pan to the left, and as I do, you're going to see a joystick control here for boom and swing. These top buttons right here are for your hydraulic pressures. These 2 front buttons here and the trigger, you would push the trigger and hit this button right here to change your winches. We're going to go to a bank of buttons on the left, and this first button here is for your cameras, on-off control, camera lighting, in-house lighting, and the lighting on the crane, 2 windshield wipers, washer, free fall, aircraft beacon, track lock, swing lock, winch 4, 3, 2, and 1. These are all your dog switches. We're going to pan to the right. As I'm panning to the right, you'll see your free fall brake, track movement up and back, your gas pedal, 2 more levers, main load hoist, whip line. This handle here is to engage your hydraulics. In the up position, everything is neutral. Throw it forward and you're ready to go. I'm going to pan to my extreme right. There's another bank of switches right here. Ignition, emergency shutoff. This is your idle speed in a dial. Main override. This button is for assembly and disassembly. This is to roll your cab up. This is your slide button. Assembly and disassembly. Winch number 6. Track speed. Assembly and disassembly. And your pressure button. Right now we're running it in half pressure. To run it in full pressure, you would just simply hit that button down. The handles here, they also have a trigger mechanism in the front, and when you hold that trigger in and hit the front buttons, which you can see here, up and down, they're A and B, you can change the main hoist drum. You can move over to here. You could move the boom from the left to the right by simply pressing the trigger and assigning each one of the handles its function. Again, the top button here on these handles is for your pressure, your drum pressure, which would go to 100% from 5% to 100%, depending on what kind of lift you're going to make, and it controls the drum speed. So right now we're going to turn the ignition switch on and fire the crane up. So while I have the key on, you'll hear that buzzer going off. The computer system will be booting up. And here comes the bottom. And we're waiting for the top computer to boot up. I'll show you how to shut off the warning signal. Okay, now the top computer is booted up. We're ready to start the crane. We'll pan over to the key and ignition on. We'll go to the first handle, which is the whip line, and press the lower button, and that should take your warning audible out. Okay, we're going to pan over to the computer. The top computer is in its confirmed duty cycle, which is basically your crane setup. And I'm going to hit F2. Now, what that did was it brought up the configuration of the crane, and we might have to deal with this audible signal because the crane is in override. Hopefully you can hear me. And when I hit F2, it brought up this screen right here. F1 would be your setup. So if you wanted to change the configuration of the crane, the boom sections, you would go in the setup and enter 31 to that is your passcode 31 for this particular crane, and then hit F5 to confirm. As you can see, we now have duty parameter settings, safety limiter parameter settings, password, language. So if you were to make an adjustment, let's say you added 40 foot of boom, you would go to F1, and in this screen it will tell you the different types of setups: main boom length, jib length if you were using a jib, hook block, main hook winch number 2, and the F2 button here will take your cursor left and right. Once you go left and right, let's say we were going to change the main boom to 159, you would hit F2, you would hit F1, and the main boom length would highlight. Left would change the value left and right. That would be the F2, F3 button. So we're going to take this value up to 121 or 123, and we'll go ahead and choose the main operating hook block, which has 2 parts, and we'll go down. That's good. Now winch number 2 with main hooks of 4 parts. Main hook block weight, which is 3.2, would be 3,200 pounds, 3.2. After you get down to here, you're going to want to hit F5, hit F5 again to confirm, and you're in. And hit cancel. See if we can shut the alarm off. No. Moving down to the bottom computer, you have system info, system set, engine info. And let's hit engine info, and that'll give you your hydraulic level, oil pressure, water temperature, and diesel level. We'll hit F1 to return to the main screen. And notice these blue lines here. They are your drum pressures. So if I go to this handle and I want to raise the drum pressure on this winch, which would be winch number 3, and here's your blue line that will go up. So I'm going to take my thumb, put it on top of the handle, and bump it a couple times, and as you can see, the pressure of that blue line in the computer raising up. I have it at 77, 79, 82. One more hit, and that's at 86. Notice that my pressures here on all my winches are up, but I have my main switch, which is right here, at half pressure. So I'm running the drums in medium. If I wanted to do duty cycle, which in a heavy crane like this, we don't do too much heavy duty cycle with a heavy crane, but if you happen to have to run a lot of concrete or something, you would hit this switch into high and you would get full pressure, plus your hydraulic pressures are all high. So we have assistant functions right here. When you hit that button, you'll see return to main menu, lubricate systems, oil fan setting, change language. Go to the oil fan, F3, and you will see oil fan control on off. F8 would be the button to turn on the hydraulic oil fan. As you can see, I just turned it on, and what that does is in weather 85 degrees or higher, in a hot summer day, your hydraulic oil can really heat up. So this particular machine has a hydraulic fan to keep the oil cool. So I did just activate that. I'll return back to the main menu, and there's our main menu. Readouts give you wind speed on the boom, RPM on winch 1, 2,